gets the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, K-Man. Happy Wednesday. It is Hump Day Wednesday, and we are here in the Cold Hard Truth, bringing you, well, what can I say? Some tea this morning for sure. How is everybody doing? Good morning, Miss Barbara. Hello, Robert. How are you? Honey Jill. Everybody's doing good? So nice to see all the Instagrammers. Come on, we're gonna get it here in just a second. My goodness, it's been a very active last couple days. So we're gonna most certainly talk about some of the things that are happening in our community and even around the world today. Got a little bit of open mic opportunity. Our government is away in the UK. They are on a 2 week, some of them, I should say, are on a 2-week stint. And let me see here. Okay. All right. So yes, just checking in why we're not seeing a file for one of the content creators. Lots of moving parts like file types and all sorts of stuff. Honey chill. So yes, having a good time here with all of our content creators getting into the stride of things. Did you guys see the AI show last night? It was a good show. If you missed it, please go back and have a look-see to see what you missed. And thank you guys so much for bringing to my attention something that I'd missed at another station. So I did go back and listen to that. I'll give you my thoughts on that a little bit later on because we did pull a clip and stuff from it as well. I had to listen to it. It wasn't a whole lot, I must tell you, but it was a moment of tension. But then I felt like the parties involved really knew not to push it too much. So it just quickly fizzed out, you know. But it it does say a lot, I think, about sometimes the structure of talk shows. And I keep telling MP Kenneth Bryan, he just needs to do his own show. He doesn't need to come on to anybody else's show as a guest. He just needs to do his own thing. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit later on as well, because I dare say that there is good reason why that little incident happened. And it really comes down to he needs to just have his own show. So good morning to Damaris. Are you joining us from New York today? How's the weather in New York? I suspect it's starting to get a little bit chilly out there in the United States. Here in Cayman, we are feeling a little bit of nippiness as well. So it's feeling good. You get a little extra breeze. All the coconuts are falling off the tree. Please, if you have coconut trees, I got one in my yard, but I think my gardener's away. But I can still send the team instructions because they are falling out of the trees. We have a neighbor who has a house. Don't you just hate? There's always that one person who doesn't take care of their yard, who doesn't care about the other neighbors. So this house is a derelict house that has been there unfinished for even before we moved into the neighborhood. So probably 20 something years by now, maybe even more. Started the house and for whatever reason, abandoned it. And they, I mean, it's one thing if in 20 something years, you've not been able to make any, not a single brick has been laid in that amount of time since then. But the worst part of it is they refuse to maintain the property at all. So it looks completely in shambles. The only time they do anything about it is when one of the respective government agencies reach out and say, hey, the place is a mess, rats infesting the area, roaches, like everything. That's the only time, if you're lucky, they might go and cut down the bush a little bit. But they've got some coconut trees that are touching CUC power lines, which I'm surprised that CUC hasn't done anything about this. And not only is it touching CUC power lines, but every single day, like clockwork, multiple coconuts fall off of the tree because they're like, legally, I'm not even sure it's on their property unless there's no buffer between their property and the public road, because it's like right on the public road. And the coconut trees are always falling down in the road, smashing up. And I think that one of these days, I'm not trying to put my goat mouth in anybody, but one of these days, one of those coconuts is going to drop in somebody's car as they're driving by. I see that in most instances, the coconuts actually get ran over by the neighbors. I don't know why they do that though, because I'm sure that's not good for your car. And so, yeah, this person refuses to maintain their yard, coconuts flying all over. And I wonder if they understand the liability involved, because the one day that clunks somebody in the head, heaven forbid, the person ends up in the hospital or worse, they're going to be responsible for that. And they know, the worst part about it is they know that it's happening. It's not something that they can say they don't know is happening. So if you know anything about the law, right? When you're aware that there's a hazard like that and you refuse to address it, they don't want to cut down the trees. And I mean, these are really, really tall coconut trees. They refuse to shake them down. They refuse to cut them down. And every day, like clockwork, there it is, coconuts falling in the road. So I'm going to show you guys one picture. I took this one yesterday, just as an example. And it's not even like close to their side. It is like dab smack in the middle of the road. And do y'all know what a flying coconut can do? Poor Miss Stacy, she said one in our yard almost killed her the other day, her and Zeus. And so now I'm contemplating maybe I should just cut that tree down. At the very minimum, I have a responsibility to call the gardeners and to have it cleaned up. You see how tall these trees are? And it's multiple trees. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees. Number 6 isn't really that tall. But you see how tall the one is that they put the little step things on? That is a very, very tall tree, and it goes all the way up. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's touching, it might be either flow wires or CUC wires, one of the two. And every day, every single day, coconuts are falling out of the tree into the public road. And the owner doesn't want to do anything about it. Apparently, they've instructed the NRA, who was willing to cut the trees down at no cost to them, that they better not cut down their trees. At what point do we not allow individuals with, I'm gonna show you guys, I have another visual here of the wires, right? And like I said, maybe it's not a CUC wire, it's probably a flow wire that it's interfering with, but it's some kind of some kind of utility wire. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, the homeowner refuses to do anything. And then, everybody else in the neighborhood, you see the wire, that one wire that goes across the street in the background. I think I need a closer picture. But you can see there, right? That goes right through where the coconut trees are. So the coconut trees are actually touching that wire. And we can't get this neighbor to do anything. They don't mean, there's a half-built house that has been there, like I said, in excess of 20 years. They don't cut down the bush unless they're forced to do so. And it's an eyesore in the neighborhood. I see, thankfully I'm not going over there too close to see the rodents, but I do see cockroaches and all kind of stuff over there. Things will die over there. And all you can do is you can smell the stench of it, and you can't, you don't even know what it is that's dead over there. What can you do for people who do this? And I've seen there's some really famous ones in Prospect as well, Bodden Town. People will have half a structure there for 25, 30 years. I'm sorry, but if you weren't able to finish a house 25 years ago, the chances that you're going to be able to do it now are slim to none. Right? And of course, let's be real. These things actually impact your property values as well. So, those individuals who live in the neighborhood, your property is being impacted by these derelict properties and they're run down. Thankfully, we don't have any druggies in the neighborhood, trying to use it for that, because I know in some areas, in Bodden Town Central, they were complaining that a lot of these derelict homes were then being used as sort of a drug location for people to come and sit there overnight and sleep, on the property and so on. Well, what does the planning law say about these things? Can anybody tell me? Well, I've been very, very patient. I must tell you, I've been extremely patient with this situation. And then when I found out the other day that NRA was trying to cut down some of the trees and do something about this health hazard, and the property owner refused, I think it's time that some real action be taken. You know, we just ignore so much in our communities and what's happening around us. But I'm at the point now where I'm saying enough is enough. What say you? Huh? Anybody else has this happening in their little neck of the woods? You got people who refuse to do anything about their homes. People have even offered to buy this property. Like, okay, if you can't finish it, we'll give you fair market value. I think you got to start all over because 20 something years later, there's no way that roof already needs to be replaced. I don't know how bare concrete does after 25 years. I mean, I'm not quite sure. But you know, it's going to take a couple $100,000 probably for the right person to finish this to any kind of quality. And the first thing I hope they do is cut down these annoying trees. Now, look at how close the trees are to the road, right? I thought that there was some sort of buffer between a public road and your property. So if you have trees that are literally touching the public road, there's absolutely no way that those trees should be permitted to stay because there's no buffer. What is the legal buffer between these trees and a public road, especially when they're this type of a tree that's causing a hazard to the community? I know one guy in the neighborhood. His baby walked by the help every day, and they walk that little route. And I tell you what, if that coconut tree drops on top of them, y'all gonna have one hell of a lawsuit on your hands. That's all I'm gonna say. And worse yet, if you really seriously hurt that baby, how on earth would you feel? Y'all better get it together. You better get yourselves together. I'm not putting my goat mouth on nobody, you know. Sure. I'm just saying. This is an obvious thing, right? Here's a little closer picture of the wire right through the trees. What a mess. Good morning, Mr. Amelia, honey chow. Irvelin says if that was in the States, they would have been issued tickets. Irvelin, in the States, they probably would have had their house taken away. Remember the one lady who there was something in her yard where she'd gotten a couple notices, like she wasn't, her strata said, or home association, my apologies, said that she wasn't taking care of her something in her yard. It wasn't anything major like this. And they end up taking her house. Y'all sit there. What a mess. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. What a mess. Morning, Mr. Amelia. Gabby says, I have a whole yard that not even being used right here in Prospect Marina Drive. That's just a little, what is forest? And the owners live on the other side and they don't do nothing about it. Oh my gosh. Morning, Felicia. Amelia says, now you're talking my kind of talk. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate, but neighbors can really make your life challenging. And we have a really good neighborhood, I must say, that we have an excellent neighborhood. We have a little neighborhood community group on the WhatsApp. So anything that's going on, we message each other. But there's, like I said, there seems to be always at least one that, sorry, let me adjust this camera. There's always like that one that has to not care, you know, and they don't care because they don't live in the neighborhood, you see. I don't even know where they live, but they don't live in the neighborhood, so they don't care what's going on with their trees. I don't know. So oh. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Good morning, TD. If it's devaluing your land, I thought you could report them, call lands or whatever department you need to call for the darn prices people got to pay around here. People better start living in cleanliness and high standards. Well, I don't think land deals with anything like that. Land just deals with like transfers of property and that sort of thing. The problem is it is split between multiple. Oh, sorry, I saw a phone call coming in. My apologies. It is split between multiple agencies, so it depends on exactly what it is that's going on with the property. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
Good morning. It's 35 degrees in New York. Just FYI.
I'm still covers, FYI.
Say that again.
I'm still under my thick blanket,
Oh,
FYI.
aren't you lucky? Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, Glenn. Joining us from the US. 34 in New York is like, brr. Tell me, honey child, what's on your mind this morning?
Okay, I
These
would love
neighbors.
to see. I would love to see laws implemented into the Cayman Islands that you have to keep your property clean. If not, you're charged or you're ticketed. I mean, it is so disgusting to drive around the island and see these eyesores in our communities. I would like to see laws enforce of all of these garbage bin holders that are in road space where pedestrian needs to walk, be implemented, enforced, because the law states that the only time you're allowed to have your garbage bins in road space is on collection day. Then they have to move back into your onto your property. You have so many people who have their garbage bin holders actually in road space, and nothing is being done about it. And some majority of the time, it can be such an eyesore, right? You have, I'm understanding in the States, if the grass get a certain height on your property, you can be ticketed for it. We need to have something of a sort, or the same set thing implemented into Cayman. You got trees by road space. It is your duty to clean up the mess that those trees make. You understand? But no one cares. Who do you turn to? Who do we turn to? All of this, I am hoping and praying that it comes up in under the beautification and implemented into the beautification remit, that these things get enforced. We need to get our island looking decent. We need, I mean, our forefathers flipped and they grave millions of times. If they was to ever know or dream the way Cayman is being kept, how it look right now. And it's, I mean, it's all have been falling on deaf ears for years.
Yeah.
It's time that we take pride in our properties. It's time that we do not, or we stop from agreeing and condoling with this type of behavior. This is not the Caymanian way. It is not. We need to bring back the pride and take pride in our properties. Make sure that our lawns are cut. Make sure that our trees are well maintained. NRA shouldn't have to come and cut down the overgrown vegetation coming out of your property. Overhanging trees coming out of your property into road space or over the road. That should not be NRA's duty in our job. You are responsible for what you plant. That is on your property. You are responsible for it. So we need to get it together. And let's get Cayman beautified and put pride back in our lives and in our properties.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you, my darling.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing there that I certainly can't agree with. In fact, I heard through the grapevine recently, we posted in our social media that finally, as much as we've been talking about this, they have changed the fines for littering from $500 to $5,000. So you know, yeah, that's good because you guys are just absolutely ridiculous when it comes to just throwing your garbage all over the community. And we have far been known for, well, it's a long time we haven't been known for this, but back in the day, people took pride in maintaining their yards. Like people would sweep their sand lawns, during Christmas time and try to keep up the exterior of their homes. And my thing has always been, if you can live in a home where the exterior looks the way that it does, I hate to see what the inside looks like because I mean, in the words of my Aunt Lottie, you should always make sure your appearance is decent. And if you can't do that, that means that you don't care about anything. You don't care what the world thinks at all. You have no pride. And so the inside is going to be a hot mess as well. Glenn says there's a popular concept in the US crime prevention called the broken windows. Oh, we're very familiar with it, in fact, which holds that caring for properties keeps crime down. When areas do not look cared for, then bad things start to happen. And I agree. Mhm. When you're allowing the derelict vehicles in the neighborhood, it's not just about property values in terms of money, it's about the safety and well-being of the neighbors. And even beyond that, Glenn, people like to, this is a community on an island where a lot of people go outside walking once the mosquitoes aren't taking you away. And, people enjoy walking outdoors. The weather's nice most of the year. If it's not raining or hurricane, it's a beautiful environment to go walking. And that connection with Mother Nature, that walk is so important to your mental and physical health and well-being. But when you're walking in neighborhoods, going back to this broken window theory, when you are out there walking in neighborhoods that look like, so what some of these neighborhoods look like, it's not going to be helping your mental health. Let me put it that way. If anything, it's going to be quite the opposite. Ms. Gabby says, I agree, caller. Apparently, Johan doesn't like the conversation. He says, what are the real topics this morning? Johan, I am so flabbergasted sometimes at how incredibly tune deaf you are. You're tuned deaf to like a different level. These are real topics that are affecting real people. They don't affect people who live in gated community because you all might have the ability through your gated community HOAs and organizations to tell people, oh yes, if your garbage bin isn't on the right side, we're going to do something about it. But I can assure you that in neighborhoods like myself, just regular neighborhoods, we struggle with trying to maintain standards. We struggle with the tenement yards that, the original property owners don't live there. So they don't keep an eye on how they're being maintained and how many people are actually living in the property and how many cars are parked. During that last storm, we actually had someone who had the audacity to bring a boat, not necessarily a super large boat, but nonetheless, they brought a boat and pushed it on the corner of the street while they're about to ride out a storm. And I'm thinking, how incredibly dangerous and stupid is that? That boat now becomes an added item in the neighborhood that if we had gotten hit by a hurricane, Michelle at 252 miles per hour is what it clocked at. I saw that posted yesterday. It is officially the strongest storm on record. You know what that boat would have been like in the neighborhood? It would have become a projectile and potentially, hitting people's homes and windows and other stuff. And this was a renter who decided, well, they had nowhere else to put their boat for safekeeping, so they come and put it on the public road. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, the fact that every single storm, people will jump up and park on the bridge down by the Kimpton. And it's like, why do you guys do this? Time and time again, the NRA says, do not park here. This is creating a hazard, right? For people. Emergency services cannot get through if these cars are here in West Bay. And that's the only way now to West Bay. If West Bay gets locked off, we can't get emergency vehicles through there to get help to people and y'all and the utility trucks and bucket trucks and so on. And you guys still, like clockwork, every single time go and park on that bridge. There has to be some community responsibility. Here's a little boat, right? This was their solution during Melissa, as Melissa was potentially coming in her direction. Oh, just park your boat on the side of the road, put some rocks underneath the wheel, because somehow that's gonna keep it in place when a Cat 5 storm comes. Like, seriously. This boat becomes a projectile, right? I'm sorry, but you don't get the luxury of having something like a boat, and that is a luxury item, if during a storm you don't even have the means to properly secure it at a marina, or put it somewhere else. You don't put it on. This is a public street, and ironically enough, it's the same derelict property. This is going back to Glenn's point about the broken windows theory. This is the same property. So I guess they probably figure, well, this property looks like ish anyway, so why not just add one more thing to it? But although this is in the public road on a bend coming around the corner. And this was there for at least a week. And I'm thinking, who does this? Please don't. My goodness. What is Bareback says? Cayman is perfect. Oh, please. You're not living here, that's for sure. What worries Caymanians have? Too much money, too much work, and too little people. Clearly not a Caymanian, or just being facetious, because none of that is true. Clive Barker says, kaboom, these poorly kept homes only devalue the neighborhood. They need to be issued fines for unkept homes. And the problem is, I don't know that there's anything I would assume it would probably be either like a DEH or planning matter. And so I think we do have to figure out who's responsible for this, but it's very possible that there's nothing in the law that really addresses this. And so again, it's one of those things that probably needs to be addressed. Right? Let me just see here now. I'm going to try to reach out to some of the government agencies to see if I can figure this one out. I'll reach out to the ministry responsible for planning. And we'll take it from there. Let me just see. So, yeah. Okay, give me 1 second here. Kevin. All right, so, we got to do better. All right, can we all agree that we need to increase the standards, and perhaps, we could encourage our government to try to assist with some of this. KK says, I see these new low-income homes with junk on the property already. Yuck. Well, not for nothing, but this is one of the reasons why you will find that some people are very hesitant about low-income housing developments, right? Because unfortunately, it's kind of like the projects back in the day, back in the US, when they built these projects, and they used to build them like in the cities, New York, they were these big high-rise buildings, right? They became a cesspool, and I wouldn't doubt that that's where the broken window theory actually originated. But they became these literal cesspools of criminality, depravity, and it had nothing to do with poverty, because I don't want people to mistake in poverty for you can't maintain and keep up your yard. But you do seem to track when you put all people of I can't even politically say this in any way, shape, or form that's going to make any sense. But when you put all low-income housing people together, you're going to find a certain percentage of them that simply do not care. And even if it's just 25%, 25% can bring down a neighborhood really, really, really quickly and make the entire neighborhood look like crap. Now, I don't know which of the which of the low income houses you're talking about. If it's the ones in West Bay, for example, that would be really, really unfortunate because they just moved in, not even a year yet, right? But not for nothing, but a lot of those people are cussing and kicking up their feet that, they want to hurry up and get into their affordable housing, is the more politically correct term for it. Their affordable housing units. And like I always say, no one had a real conversation with them about the affordability of a house. So they're like, oh, well, I pay a $1,200 mortgage, so surely I can have a home. Well, that's because you don't have a property insurance. You don't have to upkeep the property. It's not just the mortgage that you have to pay. And when the interest rates go up, can you still afford the house with all of the other things that have to be done? So yeah, you got to have lawn maintenance, Gosh, I don't know what they make paints out of anymore, but the paint hardly seems to last on homes. You got to power wash. I have to power wash my house at least twice a year for it to just look decent because of the environment that we live in. The salt spray, even if you're not that close to the ocean, somehow the salt spray reaches all of us. And there's always something that needs a touch-up paint or something that needs to be done. Home ownership is one big bag of expenses. And you have to be constantly making these renovations and improvements. So KK says just how the outside look, the same applies to the inside and the people as well. Good morning, Miss Angela. Barbara says, show me where you live and I will tell you who you are. This is an age-old saying that has stood true until now. Bullaman says they should have fined him for that boat, you mean? And the thing is, we don't even know who owns, half the time you don't even know who owns the stuff. Good morning, Paul, joining us from Bermuda. How are you? We're going to come to Miss Universe here in a second, Daniela. Stay tuned, honey child. We are coming to that hot mess. That's another hot mess of a situation. Jennifer says, Miss Sandra, you should take a drive down in Hopefield Drive in Savannah. The place is disgusting. Really? Now, where's Hopefield? Is that Savannah? Is that down Newlands area? Where exactly is Hopefield? I don't even know. There's so many new sections all over the place. But I don't know where Hopefield is, but let me know. Dr. Lookloy, good morning, sir, says it's not the housing, it's the people. It's always the people. Of course. And that's the problem. When you attract certain people and you put them in one area, it seems to compound the situation, obviously, and make it far worse. So I'm very, very disappointed to hear that these new government affordable housing schemes, because again, that's not going to help you keep the value of your home. If you're keeping the place all junky and rat infestation, rodents everywhere and whatever. No bueno. Not for nothing, but government has some degree of responsibility. I'm going to check on this as well. This is another really good question, right? Because government own the land, government own the property, and then those people go and take out individual mortgages to buy individual homes. But since it's a community, does it not become a strata? Like how does that work? Government just hands it over to the individual homeowners, and then there's nothing in place for, maintaining the community? Because again, they basically built these community of homes. I forget what the one in West Bay is called, but they built these community of homes. So then who is responsible for ensuring that the community is maintaining some degree of standards? Because basically they've set it up. I mean, it's not gated in the sense that they have a closed off gate, but they've set it up almost, kind of like a private community. They give them little community names and everything. Mr. Amelia says, yes, it's true. I've seen this in West Bay and East End. Scrape metal, derelict vehicles in the front yards, creating an eyesore. And it goes beyond an eyesore. It's a health hazard. We've even seen it in Prospect. Remember when Sabrina Turner was minister and representative? There was the one house who they kept all these commercial vehicles and commercial activity there until they had that one explosion. So this isn't just about money. This isn't just about the aesthetics of your property. In some instances, these people are actually creating hazardous environments. Let me see if I can remember the name of that one. But yeah, they had an explosion. And then even after being warned by, I think that one was DOE, because of the dangerous environment that it was creating, even after that, they turned around, were warned, and they still continue to do it. So it's like, what on earth? Because the laws are not strict enough. If you create an explosion in a community, you should really be looking at some jail time, because that legit could have killed someone. Anthony, good morning. Anthony says the Ministry of Planning and DOE, that's the Department of Environmental Health, needs to put the public receptacle back at the Starfish Point Beach. I go there every weekend, and there's nowhere to dispose of our family and friends' garbage. Let me inquire about this, because this may actually not fall on the responsibility of either of those. I think that might be private property. And if it's where I'm thinking, that actually probably belongs to the DART organization. So let me just reach out to them and see, because I know during Easter they put up porta potties and garbage bins, the big garbage bins all over, to encourage people to find it better, to leave it better than you found it. At least leave it the same. Good morning, Miss Beulah. Lucky Body says, when I hear affordable housing, I hear ratchet. And it doesn't have to be, but if nobody's maintaining in the neighborhood, like, you can't be doing this, and this with your individual house, then that, Lucky Body, unfortunately, it happens. Carrie says that DEH is a joke. They do not roam the country issuing notices to people to clean up neighborhoods. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing today?
Morning,
Jonathan,
dear. Not bad, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Good.
Just had to move my location. The people with the blowers over across the way, they make a racket.
Oh, Lord. Don't get me started about somebody messaged me on Sunday about construction on a Sunday morning. They're like, come on, Sandy, can we not get a break from the constant noise? Even on a Sunday, you can't even get a day of rest.
I don't see that stopping anytime soon here in Kenya. There's been no paradigm shift in that regard. Listen, I wanted to broach a subject with you because it's what you're discussing right now. I think it's very repeating. There seems to be this common misconception among people where they always call upon the DOE, the Department of Environment, when they should be calling upon the Department of Environmental Health when it comes to this.
And their
I
names
agree
are
with the
so
poster.
close.
Right, and they're in the same building. They're in the very same building. But it's Department of Environmental Health, which has the remit to take care of this subject. Right? Now, it'll impact the health of our environment. However, it's DEH. I agree with the poster's premise. We're in a man where a lot of garbage is just naturally going to be accumulated, whether it's punching ramps, places where whether or not it's privately owned, or parks, or places where people are known to gather in large amounts, like the end of water key there.
Sorry, honey child. Sounds like your internet there wasn't your I don't know if you're in a WhatsApp call, but something dropped out. Call us back, Jonathan. Good morning, Jonathan.
Sorry about that. I don't know why we got this thing. But anyway, all of these places, I would like to agree with the poster or the commenter. And I would also, if I may have the opportunity, to try to impress as much as possible upon the Department of Environmental Health to make an increased, improved, concerted effort to service those receptacles on a more regular and consistent basis, because the lack of that removal does add to the overall issue of littering that we have here in Kenya. So I just wanted to say that, Sandra. And second point is this. We've discussed here on your forum the illegal dumping sites here in Cayman. And the one that was under discussion last time was the one which is down High Rock Drive, where, the DEH has put up their signage and so on and so forth, but nobody really looks at it. Some people do, a lot of people don't. My suggestion that I'd like to repeat is, I think that, we have a solid waste management issue in Cayman is one of the many lack of infrastructure necessities which were overlooked for decades here in Cayman. My suggestion I want to repeat this morning, if anybody in power and influence is listening, can we please consider having at least one drop-off point for solid waste in each district? We can blame and cuss at everybody who is a litterer, and rightfully so. However, when we're speaking about logistics in Cayman, when we're speaking about the reality of the situation, I think one of the solutions that could be had without too much negative impact and without too much input financially, like on a strain on the public purse, is a drop-off point for solid waste, one in each of our outlying districts. And it would help the problem where people don't have to figure out how they're going to get solid waste, big stuff. Not your regular household garbage by and stretch, but, the materials that we see people dumping.
Yes.
Let's try to work towards getting one place in each district where it can be dropped off. Absolutely, we should. This shouldn't be somewhere where contractors are allowed to dump off ton loads of material, or landscapers are allowed to dump off ton loads of material. No. But if we could move forward to that, I think it would be one of the simplest solutions we could strive for in this regard. I don't know if you agree or not, but that's the way I see it.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Yes. One of the issues that we have found for sure is when we have, for example, we saw the DEH does a cleanup. When they do a cleanup, it seems to me that people will just, and we've seen them had to warn people will just dump their stuff all over because they hear, DEH is doing a cleanup. All of a sudden, they start dumping it on the bypasses, on the highway. They create piles that DEH is like, that's not how this works. We just ask you to put it outside of your homes, and we will come down each individual street and do the annual cleanup. By the way, it's not in December. They had to issue a statement recently because some of you were confused about when that was happening. And so they said, nope, it's not December. You have to wait until May, right? Because y'all like, well, you want to do your cleanup now. Let me just say that there are private entities where you can actually rent one of those little dumpsters, throw all your debris in for the year, whatever it is that you're throwing out, you're cleaning out, you're doing your annual clean out. You can do that now. You can rent it for a day, and then they'll deliver it. They'll come and pick it up, and they will dispose of it according to the law. So, there are options other than government having to do every single thing for you. We can be a little bit, self-reliant here. Good morning, caller.
Morning. You took the words right out of my mouth. First of all, I don't understand when they have the government cleanups, right? Like you mentioned, people dump stuff on the Newlands bypass and stuff. If you have a vehicle that you can get it from your yard to the bypass, why can't you drive it to the dump? I have seen people take their truck, dump stuff on the property of the church in Savannah, on the behind the church dumpster, bathroom sinks, bed mattresses. if you have a truck and you can get it there, why can't you get it to the dump?
Yeah.
There's like, that's just me. There's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when, you know, I agree about what the previous caller said about collecting the garbage more frequently, especially at the public beaches and the public places. But when I listen to that, what I hear is we can't keep up. Our infrastructure, our public services, we can't keep up. We can't keep up with how quick the population is growing. That's what I hear when I hear all these things, because it's all good and dandy to say, oh, they need to collect more often. But if they literally cannot, because they don't have enough trucks, they don't have enough manpower, they don't, etc., then what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're not keeping up with how fast we're developing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bigger picture that we need to look at.
And you know, all of these things come at a cost. I mean, I don't know why people think that they're free, but they're not free. They come at a cost. And remember, now we no longer pay a DEH garbage fee. So there's that. So yeah, I mean, who's paying for it? Everybody's paying for it, is how it works. But we've got to you know, do our best to try to help ourselves. I mean, those like I was saying, the bins that you can privately get, I forget the name of the company that does them, but they're not that expensive. And if you have a truckload of stuff, by the time you figure, you know, you can either have a private truck removal company to come, or these people literally deliver the bin, drop it in your yard, you fill it up, you tell them, okay, I need it to be here for a day or two. You fill it up with whatever. And think about it this way. If as a community, right, say in our neighborhood, we thought, right, we all have a few little items to drop in the bin. You could literally split the cost between even say 10 homes. It wouldn't be very much if you did it that way, probably $5 each.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they rent them for like $125 a day or something.
It's very cheap. Yeah, that's pretty much nothing if you could organize the day, right? And then just have everybody come, dump it in. You know, you say, okay, we're going to do this on the 5th of December. Everyone start to get your stuff together, collect the $5 from the neighbors. It would practically pay for itself. Like it's not rocket science to do this. Neighbors just have to talk to each other and say, yeah, let's do it on a particular day. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
I'll be fair, I don't know what people are getting rid of so much. I mean, I can't speak to that. If you have every single year, you have old furniture, because I see people putting stuff out at the roadway, like literally twice a year. And I'm thinking, what are you guys even buying? Like, you don't buy quality stuff anymore or what? Like, you have your furniture for a day and it starts to fall apart. I mean, there's also a broader concern here, because all of that gets added to Mount Trashmore. And so when you throw it on Mount Trashmore, there's no recycling program. We're running out of space at Mount Trashmore. We know that the space allocation we're getting there. And still, not for nothing, but there has been no plan after the last government canceled the one with the DART organization, whatever their conglomerate was called. There is Regenix. What was it called again? Regen. Sorry. Yeah.
They're talking.
They haven't come up with a plan of what to do instead. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, morning.
International Waste Carriers.
Is that who
they're one of the companies that provide like dumpsters,
okay.
Bodden heavy equipment services is another one. But what I wanted to say is that we could put the litter fee up to $1 million.
Yeah. Well, they're not.
It's not going to make a difference unless they actually charge individuals for it. Many.
Thank you, ma'am. Mm-hmm. That's true, honey child. Go on. Hello, caller. Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Oh, gosh. Something funny going on with the phone lines today. Give us a call back, honey child. But no, I completely agree. I'm glad she said it. Good morning, caller. Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hit a button? I'm sorry. Hello?
You can hear me?
Oh, God, that was my fault. I'm so sorry.
Am I on now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that many, I think that's probably when you hit the kaboom. Many years ago,
accidentally. You're right.
I remember hearing Woody on Crosstalk one morning saying that when he checked, there had not been one single charge in the courts for the $500 littering fee to any individual. Now, that was many years ago. So it's possible it could have changed since then, but I've never heard of anyone being charged a $500 litter fee. So all well and dandy that it's $5,000. I fully support that. But like I said, even if we make it $1 million, it doesn't mean anything unless people actually get charged.
Absolutely. You're right. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, somebody else was saying that as well. Somebody else said to me, have you, let me see what they say. Hold on. How many people have been prosecuted for littering? Increasing fines with no prosecution won't change anything. So, again, point taken. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. Enforcement, laws without enforcement, you might as well not even have the laws because it just don't make no sense. Right? So absolutely, I agree with you 1,000%. This person sent us a map so we could see where Hopefield Drive is. This is down before you get to North Sand Estate. So these are all, I think these are all Frank Hall, and there's another guy who kind of did these affordable housing communities. And now it seems to be causing a problem. Good morning, caller.
Morning from the bluff. Thelma says hi. She's listening and watching because I cast you on the TV. This cat is human. I can't tell. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And of course, you probably have seen I lost one of my sons on Monday.
No, I didn't
Huey.
see that.
Poor Huey. And of course, it's sad because I'm going to get to the garbage, but in the back, we're so backward that the Cayman Airways will not take your dead animal to Grand to cremate it. So I know how. I gone on Google and they've shown me how I can create my own home crematorium.
Oh Lord, have
and
mercy.
I'm gonna do that and cremate his little body.
Because you guys don't have a full-time vet in Cayman Brac, the only option you have really is to
get him on a plane, and I couldn't that day. He got sick, and in 5 hours he was dead. And I couldn't get him on any Cayman Airways flights because they already had animals, and it was limited flights that on Monday, as you know. And I couldn't get him down and to the vet, so he passed away. But it's
I'm sorry to hear
my
that.
sweet baby. Thank you. And he was a rescue. He was one of them. I rescued a kitten down at the end of Southside Road with his 2 siblings. But anyhow, my point about this garbage situation, as you know, I would have one sent them out Trashmore photo from the cruise ship in 2009 showing our garbage from then. And I've been an advocate against the nastiness in this country. And the Brac the other day, there was a container in Spot Bay right across from the school in a vacant lot, and it looked like they were loading it to send it somewhere, and they dumped a lot of stuff out of this container right by the roadside, and it was enough cars that people were there that if each one of them took a bag with them and even put it in their bin at their yard, they wouldn't have left that pile by the roadside. Now I watched that pile of garbage sit there on that property between the 2 houses across from the Creek and Spot Bay Primary School for just over a week. And then I finally sent a WhatsApp to the DEH. Now you tell me if that is your remit in this country is to ensure that the garbage is picked up on the roadside. If you, obviously you could have picked it up and the garbage truck is passing into the Spot Bay area twice a week. They could have seen it and they could have picked it up. My point is, we do not have anybody with enough enforcement arm in the DEH because we bring expatriates in, put them in these managerial positions, and they're afraid to rock the boat in the community. So they don't bother to go around and issue these letters out to people, which they can do, and say, hey, you got to clean up your yard. You got to clean this up. You got to clean that up. Up in the Alta Vista area where I live, there are people with garages up here. There is a Filipino guy got property up here that he's makeshift property, Sandra. He has no plan and approval for it, and he got like a tenement yard, renting it out to a pile of people. If you see that dump he have created up there on Teacup, I think it's called Teacup is the name of the road. It's unbelievable. No enforcements. The DEH, I have called them about him, but they've been afraid to go and deal with him. And the property, when I went down there and I talked to Mr. Arne Scott about it, who was the developer of the Alta Vista area with the Scott family. He told me that when he went to the government and asked him about the enforcement of the registered covenants in this neighborhood, because you're not supposed to have garages or anything like this. They told him he need to get a lawyer. My problem with all of that is, Sandra, why are you allowing people to register covenants in the government? You register covenants, say you can't have this and this, but the government don't enforce it for you. What's the point? You got to go now spend additional money to get an attorney to write letters to your neighbor or whoever in the area where you live to say you need to clean this up because this is not in the covenants. They don't have to do anything. I mean, if you get to court with them, is the judge going to enforce the covenants when you get to court? Nothing of this sort is happening. And I want people to know that when it says that a property has registered covenants, they're not enforceable by law. The law, the departments of the Cayman Islands government does not go out and enforce those registered covenants. So when the property is selling at a higher value because it said that covenants are registered, that's rubbish. You don't pay that extra money for that property because the covenants they're telling you in that document that you get stamped from the Cayman Islands government. And my covenant has a stamp on it, from the Cayman Islands government, saying it's registered, and nobody enforces it. And this is why you find neighborhoods with a bunch of garbage going on. And then the BRAC is horrible. There's so many areas up here that should be the garbage situation, and yards and stuff should be enforced. Down Walton Drive especially, there's areas in Walton Drive where people live they've turned it into a garage. And the tenants and the properties that are renting and there have turned the yards into garages that are illegal, and nobody enforces it. A bunch of old cars up in the neighborhood and stuff. No, that should never happen in this country. If the DH has not got the perfect person at the helm dealing with it, they need to retire them and replace them with someone who got a pair of balls to go out and deal with it and clean these islands up. Cayman Brac is turning into a major garbage dump, and if I'm not here seeing it and reporting it, nobody addresses it. I'll be honest, over a week, that garbage sat out there across from the school in garbage bags, rained on, and you know what happened with plastic and settling water? Mosquitoes going to breed, and the children across the way in the school. So I'm just sorry that our country is so backward when it comes to the enforcement of these sort of things.
Yeah.
And we need to put people in positions that are not going to take any crap from anybody when they come and give you a letter warning you about this and you don't deal with it. Come and take you to court then. So that's what I wanted to say today.
Yeah.
And y'all have a great day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. To their credit, I mean, let's give them some credit. There have been some more recent fines for littering. And so, the DEH seems to be stepping it up a little bit. We had one back in August of 2024, for example, where a man was convicted and fined $300 for littering. But what you find is these are the most extreme cases. And a $300 fine, they said then the Department of Environmental Health secured another court conviction for littering because there was one prior to that in September of 2023. Now, as I'm looking here on the CMR website, let me guys show you this story. Morning, Mr. Errol. This was one of those situations where, quite frankly, it took a lot for the powers that be to even do anything about this. Let me show you what I mean. Look at the photos of the derelict vehicles. Look at this. My God. Boats. Look at this. Isn't this the same house in West Bay that somebody, not West Bay, Bodden Town, that somebody was just complaining to me about? There's an abandoned car, and then on top of the car is a car piece. Look at this. Just trash everywhere. Oh my God. I really don't know how you can live in a house and walk outside your house looking like this. Lord God. Looks like that looks like part of a jet ski, part of a boat engine in the background. Yeah, multiple jet skis in the yard, old boats. And you see this one here in the foreground with the water in it? That contributes to the mosquito infestation. So these are people who clearly have no pride. Look at this. I'm sorry, but I could not have this kind of junk around me all the time. Broken down boats. Oh my God, look at this. Coolers. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coolers right there alongside that. I don't know what this wooden structure is supposed to even be. Maybe they put this up trying to hide what they were up to from the public view. But wow. All of this, look at this. Gas cylinder, engine parts, some old grill with clothes on top of it. You've got 2 generators, because it looks like they don't even have proper electricity running, because look at this wire coming out of the window. That seems to be going to the generator, right? God knows what they use the propane for. Is that a propane tank that's closer to the stairs? Is that a water tank? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like it's up to code, whatever the heck it's supposed to be. All of this, your yard looks like this: tires, all sorts of debris, bricks, everything on the ground, and you only get fined $300. Can you imagine? They would just pay the fine and still not do anything about it. It would cost them more than $300 to try to clean all this up. But this is disgusting. Look at this. This, I'm telling you, zero pride. Maybe what we need to start doing is just, putting these people on blast and letting the whole community know that this is how people are living here. And I'm sorry, but if you can afford to have all those boats and jet skis in your yard, this is not a question of poverty. This is a question of you just nasty. You don't care, right? You can get a rake and go clean up your yard. This is someone who doesn't care. Look, even the ladder outside, imagine when a hurricane comes, all the stuff from their yard that's going to go flying around the place. Some people just do not care. And so even the little, what do you call these what do you call these little bone thingamajigs? I forget what they're called. Little go-karts. That's all. Look like that's falling apart. Stuff into the bushes right there. All of this, vehicle with half the vehicle gone. All of this, and you only get fined $300. Wow. You see, that is part and parcel of the problem. That's part of the problem. Oh, this was West Bay. And they need to stop this foolishness talking about a West Bay resident. Name the person. Block and parcel number 4D30308. You can look them up if you have access to the system. Can somebody look them up and tell me who this homeowner is? They need to stop talking about a West Bay resident. Who is this person? Let's put a name and picture to this level of nastiness. Because I bet you he won't put on a suit and go out somewhere and try and look pretty. Here's another one. This was the first week of May 2024. Another resident from West Bay area was found. They had deposited and left litter on a property located on Conch Point Road, West Bay, belonging to Shoreline Development. So this is people dumping on other people's property. And once again, they were only fined $300. So if the littering fine is $500 back then, at the very minimum, if you're keeping your yard like that, you should be fined $500. Now, what they need to do is they need to adjust the law where it's a minimum of $5,000. And for extreme cases, you can step it up and collect even more. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
So, as you had read a comment earlier where I think it's from Dr. Lucloy, it says not the community, but it's the people. Now, I live in a yard where there are 3 houses. And
Oh, it looks like the WhatsApp call is dropping out a little bit there.
decided to take something.
Sorry, you might have to
out of the
repeat that
house.
last bit because we couldn't. You said that you live in a yard where there are 3 houses.
Right, but it's kept clean. However, the holiday that went, my sister and I would decide to do some deep cleaning and throw some furniture that weren't, and we make the landlord know. Now, I didn't realize that the pickup wasn't at Christmas, but in May. So what I did, I tucked away 3 pieces of items. I tucked them away neatly where nobody can see them because the house is like there's a cellar. So I tucked them under the cellar and close to the front. So when the time comes for them for pickup in May, it's easy for me to access. So you would even know the 3 pieces of stuff are garbage and nobody wouldn't see it. I mean, we try to keep the place wherever we live clean. Prior to that, you know what? There would no other tenant would even sweep the yard. Only my sister and I that she stopped. My current landlord told me whenever we are leaving her place, she's asking us to get somebody to put in her house because of how we keep our place. So it's not the community, but the people in the community. And I agree with the caller before to say that you need to get like every district have a dump site. So you know, we can take the stuff there. But I think some yards can be kept better than how they are keeping. If it's even to put them in the back of your yard, and if there's, because I have no transportation to move those 3 pieces of item, so I took them away neatly until May when they comes around. So I think people can do better in terms of how they keep the community and their yards.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I just reached out to I'm just having a look at this story again with all these derelict cars. So they say West Bay resident was charged on Tuesday, August 22nd in summary court. He was found guilty and a fine of $200 was imposed on him since it was his first such offense. The incident took place at block and parcel 4D 308. Someone says that that's Crown land. Oh, okay. Located next to the Ed Bush Stadium and Garson, where the individuals observed and caught on video dumping a sofa. Oh, right. So he was dumping a sofa on Crown land. An investigation was launched by DEH and the matter was brought before the office of the district. Okay, so he was dumping a sofa. So yes, that is Crown land. You can imagine. So I guess these pictures, my apologies, it's a little bit confusing here with the photos that were provided because I was thinking the photos that were provided was in relation to this offense, but it looks like they were showing, this is a little bit weird. They were showing pictures of another property and I don't know why, how that's related to the story. Okay. Just to show, I guess, how people keep their yard. But has this person been because this is Bodden Town. That's why I was so confused. I'm looking at it, and the story is saying West Bay, and I'm like, but that's not West Bay. That's Bodden Town. Hence my confusion. So this is that house there in Bodden Town, and I've had so many people inquire about why the MP for Bodden Town doesn't do something about this house. You see, that's that little greenhouse, and the you can see a trim on the left-hand side, that little green thing. My father's house is literally right next to that. Well, I don't know who even has that anymore because he passed away, and then his wife recently passed away. So only God knows who got that. But anyway, was my father's house and his wife for many, many years. So yeah, this is where, because even here, you see the little, right across from it is a little church. That's a Presbyterian church, I think, in Bodden Town, right? Yep. See in the background, Churchill's funeral service. Churchill had up a tent over by the church. So yeah, this is that property in Bodden Town. That's why I was confused looking at it going, what? That in West Bay? Anyway, what they're doing about that property now, only God knows, but this can't be no $300 or $500 fine. We need to fine people accordingly. And this is like thousands of dollars. Yeah, we got to find out who owns that house. Someone said they thought it was one of John's relatives. And this person says yes, and that house is right on the main road. It is an eyesore. That's John's sister's house next to the church. I mean, close to Gun Square. I don't know. He has a sister that would keep a house like that? Lord Jesus. No, sir. Oh my God. Deplorable. Absolutely disgusting. All right. This other person says, let's just bring up some comments here. Phone lines are open, 936-2626. Feel free to call in. So this person says planning and DEH only come out for folks like you and me, you and I. But when you call about the safety risk of some of these other places, they play deaf, dumb, and blind. The lady who works at Vigoro bought the home on that very sharp bend by my fence. I was shocked to see that they turned it into tenement yard. There's barely any space between the boundary and the physical property. These are the same people who no one wants, same people why no one wants any low-income developments in their community. Yep. And I hate to say it, but one of the worst things that you can do is buy a property and turn it into tenement yard. Because then you're relying on, because most of these landlords don't maintain their properties. They rely on the tenants to do so, which doesn't make any sense because I think it's a landlord's responsibility. And I'm glad that last caller said that her and her sister, were kind of cleaning up the place. Inside, yes, but like the lawn, even the spraying of pest kill, rodents, whatever, that is the landlord's responsibility. And you know how many landlords don't want to do that? Because some of you as landlords think that you just make money off of a property and you never spend money. I've had situations where I know of tenants, landlords telling them, oh, they must spray, just get a can of roach spray or whatever, and they must spray around the place. That's not how you properly treat, for pest control. And that should be done on a regular basis, probably at least once a quarter. And it's even worse when you have people in close proximity with each other in these tenement yards, because you might be keeping your little section clean and the other person doesn't. And so their uncleanliness overflows into your area as well. What a mess. And listen, no matter how clean you keep, because I don't like stuff around me. Right now, I'm looking at my backyard and I'm saying to Marlon, you better do something about these, what do you call them? Garden beds. They looked beautiful when that was his COVID project. Now they're made out of wood. So 5 years later, they've started to disintegrate and fall apart. I'm like, you better do something about this or I'm going to just pull them all out. There'll be no more gardening around you. Right? Because that's the only little part of my yard that looks undesirable. And it's in the back and nobody can see it. And I'm still not happy. He's busy. Poor thing. But what the day now that I go in there and start pulling stuff out, he get vexed at me, you see. I'm just saying. But you know what happens? Even that is a problem because you don't think rodents know that he's growing vegetables and stuff back there? They want some sorrel too. So every once in a while, I'll see a rodent like running at night. I don't try to go out there too much at night, child, but if you sit in the porch, sometimes you can see them with their little beady eyes. They're like running through the garden, looking to see what they can get. And you know, anytime I see one, you know who I call in? DEH has free rat control services, in case y'all don't know. You just call them. As a matter of fact, I have the man saved in my phone as the rat man. I don't even know his proper name when came on in Ghana. And I just have him as a rat man. And if you have a dog, he knows not to put down anything, you know, or he'll tell you, don't let the dog outside. The rat man, same right here, rat man. And I got his mobile number and I just call him and book an appointment. Sir, I saw a little something running behind there. Please come and get him. Because like I said, no matter how clean you keep the place, they are around and they'll find a way to get into your yard. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Sam, it's me again. So you just make a comment to say that landlords should keep their property clean.
They should.
Which is right. However, I believe in that not 100%. It depends if you have rodents and all of that, or if the yard needs to be chopped, then that's different. But as I say, in a case like I do not depend on my landlord to do everything. If the yards need to be swept, I live there. I'm supposed to take care of that place as if it's my place. So that's why when we lived to, my sister and I were living prior to where we moved to now, my sister and I would sweep that yard every day because there are breadfruit tree and mango trees. And we would sweep, and there were like maybe 5 other tenants, and nobody would sweep that place except for my sister and I. And she gets frustrated and said, listen, I am not doing this anymore. But I cannot live in a yard like that is full of trash and untidy. So I'm going to sweep it. So now I have seen the landlord herself go there and sweep it like every Sunday. And I don't believe that because you live there. So the least you can do is sweep the yard. I mean, cutting the yard, chopping the yard is different and all of that. But
yeah, I was thinking more of like lawn maintenance. Not so much regular sweeping.
But then if I can do it myself too, I'll do it too. Because where I live, I bend down and I pick out the weeds myself. I don't call my landlord. I mean, there's nothing much anyways. I don't call my landlord. I bend down and I pick out those weeds myself. I don't call her. So sometimes we can help ourselves. This is where we live.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I agree with that.
So we can keep it. I don't believe in you depend on the landlord for everything. I understand what you're saying, but there are
because
we can do on our own.
Some landlords don't do anything, and that can't be the case either. You know, if you have grass, you must have lawn services coming at least once a month, depending on how high the grass grows, you know, because sometimes rainy season, it grows very, very quickly. But your tenant shouldn't be out there with a lawnmower mowing your lawn for you. That's what I'm saying.
Well, honestly, Sandra, if I had the lawnmower in my yard was grassy yard, I would have done it myself. I would have.
Well, I can tell you that you're not the regular tenant.
No, I am not. Sandra, I see my toilet wanted a plucker ball. I did not call my landlord for that. I go to the store and I buy it, and I get someone to put it in. I don't call my landlord for everything.
Yeah.
There's some things, I mean, it might cost me $25. I don't call her for everything.
Yeah.
So there are things might be going on and she don't even know if this pipe is broke. Unless it's cost a lot, then, you know, I'd have to call her because I might not be able to pay that money. But I'm not going to call her for everything. So,
thank you,
yeah, that's why she said she wants us to get someone when we're leaving. She wants someone like us.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. This person says that house belongs to Miss Violenti Berry. I'm not sure if she's still alive, but I'm sure she doesn't live there anymore. So her children probably rent it out because Miss Violenti would never allow her yard to get that way. The other owner on the register is Darla Frederick. Okay. I don't know who Darla Frederick is, but she sounds younger than Miss Violeta. What her name is? Violenti. And so thank you so much to our A+ students who can send us all of the necessary things that we need to have these conversations accurately. So here is the property, and it's a good sized property too, I must say. It's only 0.25. It looks so much bigger on the little picture there, but there it is. There's the parcel, the block and parcel information. These things are a matter of public record, I hope you know. So Miss Darla Elveria Frederick and Miss Violente Berry. This is the point though. You cannot rent a property and allow your tenants to run it down either. And just because you live somewhere else, you pretend like you don't know what's going on. That can't work. Step it up, landlords. You have a legal responsibility as the owner of the property. Aisle 2025 says Newlands has the same problem. Streets are flooded with cars because rooms are being rented out and nowhere to park on the property. It's frustrating and a road hazard. Let me ask you guys a question now, serious question. Do you think that it is time, not only do we need a landlord and tenancy board, but we need standards in terms of renting out people's, like your homes and converting homes into tenement yards? Now, I'm going to tell you, if we say to legislate it, that oversight has to come from somewhere, right? We're going to have to pay for that. So now maybe we're looking at having landlords actually be registered and pay some sort of a little annual fee. Here where I'm going with this, where there can be some degree of enforcement. Because a lot of these homes, even in Windsor Park, somebody was talking about, their predicament in Windsor Park. These homes were not designed to have 10, 15 people living in a 4-bedroom house. It is a fire hazard. It is very, very dangerous, right? And you simply do not have the space there to accommodate all of those people. So, what are we going to do? If we're going to clean it up and do things the right way, that means that everyone is going to have to be subjected to the same rules and regulations. So if you have a 1,500 square foot house, when you went to planning and you got that house approved, planning would have said the occupancy in this house is, maybe 5 people at most. If you turn around and turn it into a tenement yard and you have 10 people living in it, certainly that, even from a coding perspective, that now exceeds the number of people, allowable people that should be there. And of course, I get it. This is going to impact people who are sharing rooms, who are doing bed sharing and all sorts of stuff. But right now we have a fire department. We have a police department. None of these safety entities know how many people actually live inside of our structures, inside of our homes. And it is extremely dangerous in certain neighborhoods. Windsor Park is an example only because Windsor Park has a lot of these tenement yards now. They're overflowing, and the density of Windsor Park is the highest per capita, like the highest physical density of people in a concentrated area in all of the Cayman Islands. Windsor Park was never designed to be and to hold as many people as there are there now. And the sad part about it is, this creates all sorts of issues for the community of Windsor Park. Not least of all is the fact that everybody down there wants to have a vehicle, have a car, and the traffic congestion is absolutely horrible. This person says planning and DEH only come out for people. Yes, I think I read that part. And they said that planning needs to do a proper drive-through and do yard/building inspections in Windsor Park. And if we're going to do it for Windsor Park, we have to do it for everyone, not just Windsor Park. So as aisle 2025 says, Newland's struggling with the same thing now too. So let's decide who is in favor of really tightening up this whole landlord tenancy thing. And it is time now that we have, let me see how we're going to, put this question together. It's time now that we have our properties actually regulated in such a way that a government entity comes out, does inspections, and says, okay, for this size property with this yard space, et cetera, you can only have so many people living here as tenants, and force them. If you're turning it into a tenement yard, you then have to put part of the yard, allocate part of the yard for adequate parking. They should not be parking on the roadway. They shouldn't be parking in public spaces, blocking up roads. And of course, we see Windsor Park as one of those communities, Washington Boulevard, Windsor Park. When they were developed, there was no requirement for sidewalks. So there's no sidewalks in those communities. And the houses were built very, very close to the road. So a lot of them don't even have much of a front yard. And so as a result, when they turn those into tenement yards, then you have people parking on the roadway. And as Romelia and others in the community know, emergency vehicles cannot get in and out of those communities safely. So I need to draft a poll question this morning. Is it time for government to regulate and enforce how many people are allowed to be living in a home given the available space and other health and safety considerations? All right, Cayman is looking ghetto, says this person, to how it used to be. Even Jamaica has been looking cleanly. There's no more John Crows. Cayman doesn't look good like one time, too much ghetto mentality. Ask Miss Heather Barden, ain't she part of some beautification committee? Cayman don't have the infrastructure for these people, etc. Let's police our own islands. Cayman hood watch. Well, I'm saying it's high time that somebody policed it, and I don't know who that gonna be, but let's get on it. Carrie says, over the years as a property manager, I see tenants having to do the yard for reduced rent, but the tenants do not bother. Landlords are lazy, not all, but many. Well, it's not even about them being lazy because they don't have to do it themselves. They can outsource it. There's a million lawn companies out there. So, they can do that. Clive says, I agree with this caller. Most Jamaican women are very clean as tenants. Ms. Jean, good morning. It says landlords have a due responsibility to treat tenants as they would like to be treated. I cook and share meals with my tenants. Maintenance is key to everything, ensuring lawn maintenance, air conditioning maintenance, and replacing items that are all to be replaced. All I ask is that they keep the place clean at all levels. Building a relationship with tenants is key to a happy and harmonious lifestyle. My tenants are my family. Now, you see, Miss Jean, you made me chuckle because somebody was asking me this. We were having this conversation over the weekend, and they said to me, would you ever rent maybe a room in your house or have live within the same yard as your tenants? And I'm not that person. I said unequivocally, no way. I am too private a person to be sharing my personal space, and I consider my yard my personal space if I want to go outside and get some vitamin D, with me and my tenants. I'm just not that person. So I would never build onto my property and then turn around and rent that out. It would have to be a very, very dire situation because I don't want my tenants around me like that. No, we need a separation. They're not my family. And so we need a little separation between us. That's how I feel. So not everyone feels the same as Jean. That doesn't mean that you disrespect people and that you don't keep up your place, but I'm just not the type of person that really wants people around me like that. Right? So I think we need to be, you have to know what type of person you are and you have to act accordingly. But regardless, that doesn't mean that you mistreat people and that you do not keep your properties up. You have to maintain your property. And wear and tear is part of, the ownership of properties as well. Strong Wilt says, Sandy, you need to check Legacy Drive apartments on both sides and the car park on both sides of the road. Where's Legacy Drive again? Lord have mercy. Sounds like we really need to start going around this island and looking at some of these places. Ms. Jean says we also have neighbors who refuse to keep their property clean and therefore affect the living conditions of those of their neighbors, which also include tenants. Well, that's how we got started this morning, Ms. Jean. You might have missed the beginning of the conversation, but talk about that one house in the neighborhood who doesn't keep anything clean or who refuses to maintain their yard or maintain their coconut trees, and the coconut trees are dropping down in the road about to kill somebody. Isle says, when I reported the street parking to DH, they told me that they don't do anything because the cars aren't broken down. It would be community officer that I need to contact, but no idea if we even have one. You should. And of course, community officers are now, those are the police individuals that they're referring you to. And someone mentioned that there's a town hall. What was that law again? Town hall and communities law or something like that. So there are some laws in place, but I do think that there needs to be a greater understanding of what those laws are, how they operate, who's responsible for what, and how you can go about reporting these things. And so let me say this now. The Ministry of, they have a long name, lands, hold on. It's planning, lands, agriculture, housing, and infrastructure. PLAHI, I think that's what it is. That's Minister Jay's ministry, PLAHI. Hold on, let me see if I can get you the proper name. Ministry of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing, and Infrastructure. Yes, I got it right. So they have a responsibility for portions of this. And so they're one of the government entities that has now come on board that will be doing a Ministry Matters show. And this is the kind of stuff that they have to continually put out there in the public domain, is how do people, make complaints about lands, or is it planning, or who do they contact about derelict vehicles, and what's the process, and how does this work? And, because unfortunately, I must say that a lot of people in the public simply do not know. So that's off the roadway before Lion Center. Like going east or the other way? I need to go check that out. Carrie says the other issue is that most government departments do not talk to each other. Ugh, what a mess. All right, we're going to move on to Miss K-Man. Not even Miss K-Man, just Miss Universe. And then we're going to talk about a statement that the local Miss Universe made that was kind of weird. And so someone sent it to me, and I need to read it, I guess, because I'm confused by it. I don't really know who she's referring to or what she's talking about, but we will continue to advocate for some of these amendments and changes. And like I said, when Minister Jay comes in the program, we will talk to him about some of these things, because I know that there's some stuff happening in the background, but oftentimes we don't know anything about it. Somebody says Randite Gardens looks 10 times worse than Windsor Park, a proper slum. Yeah, boy, I couldn't tell you. I haven't been down there in years. I mean, I didn't frequent down in there. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've been down in there, but yeah. So, all right, we'll continue to agitate for some change and improve some of these things in our community. Let's talk about Miss Universe for a minute here. This Miss Universe pageant, I think this might be the end of Miss Universe. If I was a betting woman, which I'm not, as you guys know, and I had some money to waste, I would put a little $50 on this whole situation, that the international pageant now is who I'm talking about, that their days are numbered. I don't know who can take over this pageant. and save this pageant and do whatever. But if there was ever a time that they made it so, somebody said to me today, they have finally allowed people to see the prejudiceness, the racism, the downright ignorance that is connected and linked to these pageants. And no one who does not advocate that type of thing. Listen, y'all know how I felt about pageants for a long time now, right? I'm like, they are a waste. When government was the holder of the franchise, I kept saying, well, that's a waste of money. We could be educating our young ladies and giving them opportunities with that kind of money instead of sending them off to a beauty pageant where they're having their ribs counted and they're being judged based on how many ribs they have, and all this kind of foolishness. It's just ridiculous that we subject women to this. But having said that, I mean, yeah, okay. Seems like some of y'all are up for the pageant life. You get excited every single time you hear that there's a pageant that's going to be on. You got to go watch it and whatever. Yeah, okay. Now you have poor pageant girls falling into pits on the stand. Allegations of pageants being bought out, of people having, business relationships with each other, all sorts of stuff. Sexual relationships. Oh, the Canadian trainer. It's just too much drama. How is this building up any woman anywhere in the world? That's the first question I had. Because, that is supposedly the argument, is that, oh, we're building up these young ladies. Are we really? Is that what we're really doing? Because I'm sorry, but I don't see it. I don't see any, oh, we're teaching them to be this and that, and we're helping them to have self-esteem. No, you're not. You are tearing down their self-esteem, right? When a woman realizes that her only value on the international stage is how pretty you are, and you being subjected to other people's definition of beauty, right? So many of these girls have all sorts of ridiculous plastic surgery. They have, like I said, some of them take out ribs. They put in breast implants. Someone sent me this time, some of the cosmetic procedures were not the best in the world. Someone sent me a couple of weeks ago, one girl who had a butt implant. And so her banquet, it was obvious that she had a butt implant. Here it is. Hold on. Let me show you this one. You could see it wasn't a very good job because, if the plastic surgeon was worth his grain of salt, but I think what he did is he used like those silicone pieces that I guess women who have breast augmentation, when they put that in there, that looks like what he has done with her behind. And normally what you would want to do is you would want to take fat, but they're not got no fat in them, poor little things. They all starved out. You would take fat from other areas of the body. This is the most natural way if you're going to do any kind of BBL or, butt enhancement or whatever. You would actually, take fat from somewhere else, inject it, just redistribution of fat, basically, right? But of course, that's not what's happening. So these young girls are so desperate to conform to the standard of beauty, whatever the standard is supposed to be, that they're going out there doing very, very dangerous, this is Miss Columbia, doing very, very dangerous things in order to satisfy this beauty quota. So here's a picture of her. Look, you can see it there? Look at it. You can actually see it protruding as she walks. It doesn't stay in place. You see it there? You can see the outline of the butt cheek. You just put your hand on it for 15 minutes. Will not deflate it. You see that? That is what, she not got no fat. Like you say, they couldn't take it from nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? So they've decided to go with the silicone implants. And look at that. As she walks, you can actually see the curvature of the butt implant. Poor thing. She was so flat. But there you go. And a lot of this is genetics. Yeah, she's pretty, but I wouldn't have wasted no money getting no butt implants. There was another one. Well, she had a C-section because now, they've changed the rules where you can have had babies. You could have been married. They have just water down even what the heck Miss Universe is supposed to be. You don't even have to be a woman. You can be, transgender. I don't have anything against transgender people, but this really not a pageant for them. So they've changed it up where it's just a hot mess. The best thing our government did was to give up this pageant business. Trust me, because they're wasting our money. Now, let me be very, very clear. After the government relinquished the title, you will know if you sent me stories and I'm just like, I don't care. It's no longer our money. So technically, we, the people of the Cayman Islands, don't really have any skin in the game. If you want to yourself go in and put yourself up for auction, like how they used to do with the slaves back in the day, where they're judging you on your body parts. Yep, he looks like he's fit. He can impregnate a couple women on the farm for us. He can move the cows around, all this kind of stuff. That's how you're being judged. It's pretty much the exact same thing. You're free to do that. That's your choice, right? The pageant holder is now Dairy Dakers. It's a private entity. I could care less. Doesn't really matter to me. Now, I say that, but I want to make a caveat. The government is still putting some money into the pageant world because they go to government for donations, all the pageants, I think, and government will make a small contribution. But you know what? At least the government is no longer responsible for the whole thing. So as this particular year began to unfold and all of the controversies surrounding it started to flow, the whole thing with Miss Mexico basically being called a stupid by one of the directors or whatever, and then him refusing to resign and claims that that's not what he said. I mean, it has been a S show from the word jump. It is absolutely horrible. And it just keeps getting worse. Did you guys see our latest story? One of the women associated with the pageant, there's an arrest warrant out for her now because she's a criminal and defrauded people out of millions of dollars. Former Miss Universe co-owner, right? So they've issued an arrest warrant for her. Some 30 million Taiwanese baht, which is about 870,000 US dollars. That's a fraud case that she's involved in. The current owner out of Mexico, he himself is so sick and tired of it. This is what he said. I'm so fed up. I'm so fed up with all the talk. So he now wants to try to sell the business. Okay? He's the Mexican business owner that acquired his stake in the international pageant in January 2024. Now, he says something interesting. Everyone wants to have an opinion about business decisions. This isn't just a business. This is an organization where you put women on stage and you judge them based on their looks. And yes, if people are saying Miss Mexico was not deserving of the win, and by and large, I'm going to show you who people are saying should have won it. Look at this young lady.
It's all thanks to God. Gracias a Dios por todo. This is the moment, mi gente. We're about to go in there. I'm speaking a little bit of Spanglish, pero todo está bien. Los amos mucho and enjoy the show.
I didn't even know that she spoke Spanish. But this is the one from the Ivory Coast. And pretty much everyone...
Listen, it's all thanks to God. Gracias a
Everyone is saying that she should have won it. And then you have foolishness coming out now, like the owners claiming, oh, well, she would have won it, but then she can't travel to 100 and something countries, whatever. And they're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? She has an American passport, supposedly. I didn't even know she's an American. So she has no restrictions on being able to travel according to what is being said. And I must tell you, I don't think that I've ever seen a competition where generally there's a general consensus that this young lady is the one who should have won. Everybody that you talk to, whether they like pageants or not, they're like, clearly she should have been the winner. She brought it. on all levels. So this is trending all over the internet about why she should have won the title. So it's crazy that the CEO claims that Olivia, this young lady's name, did not win the crown because she's from a weak country, right? Which is this Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. He claims that her country's passport would deny her entry into 175 countries, and that would be more expenses for the organization. Listen to this. But the fraud forgot that Olivia is an American citizen with a valid US passport. She's also the daughter of a diplomat in her home country. Even if she isn't part of the organization's job to take care of these things, this is outrightly ridiculous, and I cannot believe it. So you're having people enter a pageant knowing that you will never give them an opportunity to actually win because they don't hold the right passport? So why are you taking their money? This is my question. Why are you allowing them to participate, and why are you taking their money? This now is where this whole situation begins to really, really stink. And you recognize that this whole Miss Universe foolishness is nothing but a money-making situation. And if you were smart, the $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 that you guys are paying to have the franchise, you would save that money and invest that in some other way. Because this is absolutely ridiculous. Now, France, and she has actually stepped down as well. So many countries are now pulling back from this pageant, saying that we don't want anything to do with this Miss Universe pageant, and that it's absolutely ridiculous. And who can blame them? Right? So, Olivia, good luck to you in whatever your future endeavors are. You seem like a very, beautiful young lady. If you go and look at her social media pages, you'll see that this woman walks like a queen. Even her performance during the preliminaries, this person says, she's leaving me speechless as usual. Right? So she was a standout from early on. I mean, she is regal. You see her even being featured on November 21st in Essence magazine on their feed there. And it's just shocking. Right? She's obviously of African descent. One person says Olivia's Miss Universe journey, it was never just about a crown. It carried meaning, purpose, and tension far beyond the stage. But the outcome, it left a completely different taste in the mouths and sent a message felt across the universe, not just among African audiences or Black beauty queens, but among people everywhere who wanted fairness, who wanted justice, and who wanted to see a queen truly deserving of her moment. And honestly, what this signals to Black women and African women across the world is heartbreaking, a reminder of how unfair, cruel, and ruthless the industry can be. And so there's a whole video here that this blogger did, Luis Porteus. He is out of Quebec, Montreal area. So he did a whole video on this as well. Listen, there's a whole upheaval in the beauty world, so to speak, about what has really happened with the Miss Universe pageant. And all of the other foolishness, judges resigning because they were saying that they already had the top 30 picked before the vote. There was no, in years gone by, they would have had, the voting handled by an accounting firm to just ensure that it was fair and it was impartial and the things were tallied. None of that even happened this time. It was a complete joke. It was a joke. Right? The entire pageant was a joke. Now, let's talk about the role that our Miss Universe, and I had zero intentions of bringing this up until, unfortunately for her, Derry decides to issue a statement yesterday, and then someone sent me the statement, right? I guess this is on social media. I don't even know where it is. I keep saying that it is often in your best interest to just keep your mouth shut and say nothing at all. Because I'm not even sure what the point, I don't even know who she's addressing this to. And quite frankly, what a point of this whole situation is. I'm confused, but she's published it. And I see people, apparently someone sent me a screenshot this morning. People are now commenting on it and stuff as well. So in the name of keeping you guys updated on what's happening in the community, we now have to talk about what the local Miss Cayman committee's position is. So she posted this statement, very, very difficult to read. Some of the, apparently the only comments on, I don't know if that's Instagram, but someone sent me a thing this morning saying the only comments on this is, we can't even read this. It's not legible. So let me show you those comments. I think that's, yeah, that looks like Instagram. Right? So people are confused about the comment, but of course, as you can see, it is very, very difficult to read. And that is certainly expressed by the comments here. One person said, I had to magnify the image on my desktop wearing my glasses. Please give the official statement instead of an image or picture. Another person says, very good, very hard, my apologies, to read. And then another person says, the font is unreadable. Who approved this? I mean, if you want to get a message out there, not for nothing, but you got to make it legible. And this isn't legible for a lot of different reasons. The font that's used is ridiculous. And then on top of that, it's up against a color. And then the backdrop actually has images and stuff in it as well. So of course it's not legible. But with my X-ray vision, I'm going to do my best to read it to you. So it says, first and foremost, this is an actual official statement, you know. Okay. First and foremost, the Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization wishes to congratulate Tahiti Seymour for representing our islands with grace, courage, and outstanding dedication at the Miss Universe pageant. Like so many across the Cayman Islands and our diaspora, we were sincerely hoping for a placement this year. Regardless of the outcome, we are extremely proud of the way Tahiti carried herself on the global stage under very challenging circumstances. In light of recent reports and public discussions surrounding the global organization, we also wish to make our position absolutely clear. We hold a license with the international pageant, but we're not responsible for the operations, decisions, or treatments of delegates by the global Miss Universe team. The conditions and challenges faced by contestants at Miss Universe 2025, including alleged disorganization, uneven rule enforcement, inappropriate conduct by staff, and unnecessary emotional pressure, are deeply concerning and are not reflective of our values or practices in the Cayman Islands. Our local committee works year-round to empower, uplift, and protect young Caymanian women. We do not and will not support any environment where contestants are mistreated or placed under avoidable distress. Like many globally, we were taken aback by the lack of structure displayed this year. That's what really took you aback? I mean, I'm sorry, but that's not the big issue here. It's not about structure. It's about the blatant prejudiceness and you know, unfairness. Forget about the structure. That's the least of your worries. Anyway, it continues. Our message to the Cayman public is simple and direct. Well, it took you 5 paragraphs to get there, but let's see. We do not stand for the behavior displayed at this year's Global Miss Universe pageant. We do not condone the mistreatment or mishandling of any contestant. We will not send any Caymanian woman knowingly into an environment that compromises her mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Accordingly, we will be monitoring the International Miss Universe organization closely. To do what? Our continued participation depends on whether meaningful improvements are made to ensure fairness, safety, professionalism, and genuine empowerment. Our value to the Cayman Islands. Is that a heading? I think this is a heading. That's why it's it seems abrupt when you're reading, but I think this is a heading for the next section. The Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization is more than a pageant. We are a tourism product. And an empowerment platform and a gateway of opportunity for young Caymanian women. Through international exposure, personal development, training, community service, cultural representation, and global visibility, our title holders help shine a spotlight on our islands. We will continue to operate with excellence, integrity, and national pride, no matter the external noise or sensationalized commentary. Addressing local opportunistic commentary. It is unfortunate, though not surprising, that certain individuals have used the global Miss Universe issues as an opportunity to push personal agendas and sensationalize headlines. Instead of uplifting our young women or presenting balanced reporting, these pieces exploit international chaos that casts unnecessary negativity on local organizations and individuals. We reject these attempts wholeheartedly. Our committee remains focused on integrity, truth, service, and the well-being of Caymanian women, not on engaging in manufactured drama or allowing others to profit from controversy. The Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization continues to stand firm in its mission. We thank the Cayman Islands community for its unwavering support, understanding, and praying during this challenging season. And it's signed the Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization. So the part, of course, that piqued my interest and why this person sent it to me is they said, Sandy, is Derry and whoever else might have helped pen this, was she talking about you when she's talking about addressing local opportunistic commentary? And I'm confused because I'm like, I have purposely stayed away from mentioning really the local pageant as much as possible, right? So I don't know who she's talking to and I don't know who she's referring to, but let me tell you something, it can't be me. Girl, please, bye, Felicia, right? Let me just tell you how stupid Caymanians are now. This simply demonstrates how incredibly stupid our people are, right? You see this comment here about it's unfortunate that those, not surprising, certain individuals use this global Miss Universe issue as an opportunity to push personal agendas. Every single media house in the world, if you go and Google Miss Universe right now, every single, and I do mean every single media house in the world is talking about this. This is a global issue. People Magazine, Crime Asia, all the bloggers, whether they're in beauty or not. Here's one with The Scoop 2 hours ago, right? Says, for your information, she had in 1 week 3 million followers on Instagram. Now they're talking about I don't know which I guess the winner, Miss Mexico. And then they said the American Raiboni, whatever, throughout all this time for 5 years had 800,000 followers. Where's the mistake? Where's the fault? I mean, in 1 week, 3 million followers. So, everybody is talking about this. This is a worldwide discussion. Let me just show you this is just Facebook, by the way, but let me just show you my Facebook, page here to see if you Google Miss Universe, all of the stuff that is coming up about this. Every news organization in the world covering it. There's drama all over this pageant. There's pageant pages that are talking about it. Look, 18 hours ago, right? They're still talking about it. Pageant Talk, they're still talking about it. Newspapers, there's Miss Tahiti. All sorts of people all over the world. The Scoop, right? He now wants to sell the pageant. See, he's even addressing it because everybody's saying that she should have won. She should have won. My apologies. This is where he's talking about, she can't visit 175 countries and why make her enter? Right? The queens, are standing together. They're posting stuff. They're having the most to say. People Magazine, Truth Slaps. I mean, all of these news entities, this is just Facebook, honey, child. But you can literally go and look at all of the, oh, that's us right now. You can literally go and see all of the people who are talking about this drama, everything around this pageant. Let's just Google it, right? If you just do Miss Universe 2025, nothing but pure drama. Look at all the headlines. People.com. Miss Universe leadership allegedly refuted to clarify voting rules. That was a day ago, right? Didn't even see that one. But the Miss Universe has crowned its newest winner. They declined to provide clarity on the voting process when asked. MSN, former Miss Universe judge calls Mexico's Fatima a fake winner. The Star, ABS, CBN. I don't know who the heck NST Online is. Daily, what is this? Daily Sabah? Asian News Network. Every single news agency all over the world have been carrying Hinduism Times, GMA Network. They're all carrying this. Gulf News. This is worldwide news. This is trending all over the place. Sky News, BBC. And so when I read this comment, right, that somehow, because it's also being covered in regional news, like Cayman News, local news, right? Because this is happening on the international front, that this is somehow opportunistic to push personal agendas and sensationalize headlines. How are we sensationalizing headlines? International Business Times out of the UK. Talking about Fatima breaks her silence, confronts critics amidst claims Miss Universe 2025 is rigged. I can assure you, nobody, the Telegraph, Glamour South Africa, no one is sensationalizing on the local front. No one is sensationalizing any headlines. This is what is trending even 4 hours ago. This is what is trending and will continue to trend all over the world. I am disappointed in the local Miss Universe committee that the best they could do at a time like this, when the world of pageantry is on it's been turned upside down, tipsy-turvy, right? That the best they could do is come up with a statement talking about other people are trying to local opportunistic commentary. People have a right to their comments, and I can tell you there really has not been much. We've been just factually reporting on the shit that's happening. But if people had an opinion about what is happening, they have a right to their opinion. And so even putting that in here, I find is so incredibly disheartening. If people don't want to support a pageant, and they certainly don't want to support this one, that is their right to do so. The fact that you have the time and energy to even address this and to send out this ridiculous statement says more about you than your so-called critics. You reject these attempts wholeheartedly? Who cares? You don't have to accept anybody's opinion. What do I always say? Opinions are like what? Assholes. Everybody got one. And you don't have to like it. You don't have to accept it. And quite frankly, you don't even have to take it on. But girl, you wasted a couple hours, I'm sure, putting this response together, right? Basically saying that you're going to continue to stand by a pageant that has proven to, in fact, even be prejudiced against your own people, because in case y'all missed the memo, Tahiti, like most Caymanians, is of African descent. She might have done an amazing job, but I don't know in what world you all live if you actually thought that she would have placed. She's not going to place because the system is rigged. This is systemic racism. And this is not the only time that anybody with sense would have discussed this. Cayman will never place because we do not have enough skin in the game in terms of money and what we could even bring. Talking about this is a tourism product. You better know that whatever Cayman thinks that they're bringing to the forefront, regardless of how beautiful our young ladies are and how well poised they are, they do not ever have a chance in hell of winning because the system has always been rigged. This year, it became very, very clear how rigged it is, but I can assure you, it has always been rigged. So putting together this statement in this really poorly chosen font that really you can't read very well, especially against the color of the background and the logo and all that kind of stuff, it's just absolutely ridiculous. You wasted words on this when you could have found something more productive to do with your time. It's your business though, right? If you have $10,000 to waste every year, Derry, maintaining this fraudulent, Miss Universe connection, that's your business. You're free to do so. But it's your money. I think our government needs to stop supporting it, and you need to go to private donors to ensure that you can continue to host this pageant. Our government should have nothing to do with this whatsoever. Not a single dollar of the people's money should go to this. If it's privately owned, that's on them. That's their business. There are lots of people who own private owned entities that I don't like or I don't agree with their philosophy or whatever, but it's privately owned. What are you going to do? It ain't none of my business. Right? And ultimately, that is what this is supposed to be. It should be a privately owned situation. Government, the thousands of dollars you're donating every year to this, put that in some fund to just teach young ladies other, etiquette training and other things that will benefit them in life. That's what I would say. Okay? We see the controversy the local pageant had, which was absolutely ridiculous as well. It is time that we hung up the hats when it came to the world of pageantry. Stop supporting pageants. Stop telling little girls that their value is tied into their weight, the type of hair or weave that they can afford, how well you apply your makeup, how big your hips are, your thighs, your lips, your buttocks, your breasts. Women are going out there getting augmented procedures and changing their bodies in order to conform to the world's concept of beauty. And as beautiful as our people are, and we have absolutely beautiful people, we are still discarded as not enough. You're not light-skinned enough. You're not thin enough. Your boobs are not big enough. They're not this, they're not that. Enough is enough. But like I said, as long as it's a private pageant, we don't really care. And Derry, I don't know who you're directing your comments at. And it better not be me, because then how I find out for sure it's me. You and I should be having a very different conversation, right? You're not in the news business. So maybe you don't see how much the stories around Miss Cayman, Miss Universe, my apologies, internationally are trending. But it is our responsibility as a media house to cover what's actually happening in the world. And there is a lot that is happening around this shithole of a pageant. Okay? Now, if you want to continue to be associated with them and give them your 10 grand a year, that's on you. That's your business. But you cannot expect the people of the Cayman Islands to sit back, not have a conversation about what the international committee is doing, and just completely ignore it. What do you want? What do you want people to do? That's just not how this works. So even now somebody is saying That's someone overseas featuring the Miss Cayman press release. Everyone everywhere is talking about Miss Universe. It has no language. Somebody did a thing, says Miss Universe Cayman, of course they spelled Cayman, Island, Org will not be sending any Cayman women to Miss Universe till future notice. I don't think that was said in an official capacity. So I don't know where that has come from. Yeah, I don't know. But I can tell you, everybody looks like a TikTok video. Everybody in the everyone in the comment section is like, good. You know, this country needs to follow suit. Now, I don't think, to be clear, let's see. Let me see, because I don't think this is accurate. And I'm not sure where she's getting it from. But again, this is what this young lady's claiming. So give me a second here. Let me see what this video says. She's claiming that we're not sending anybody else. Seems like she knows more than the local people. What are you going to do next? Send her a letter saying that, oh, you guys can't talk about the pageant world and what's happening? I mean, listen, and it strikes me as peculiar when people put themselves out there. You know, it's like me. I sit here every day and I put myself out in a public platform, and then I'm going to expect that people aren't going to have something to say. Now, of course, you have the right to respond, especially if people are saying things that are inaccurate. But look at this. Now, this is trending.
Today, another Miss Universe drama and scandal. The Miss Universe.
Can we just repeat that again? Another day, another Miss Universe scandal. Because that's all it's been this entire pageant. And it's unfortunate because I think Miss Tahiti Seymour here is such a beautiful young lady. And she seems to have done a really fine job. And to go in the 1 year that all this shit hits the fan, well, that's the chance you take when you are working with organizations that are, you know, so poorly organized and corrupt.
Another day, another Miss Universe drama and scandal. The Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization has just issued an official statement through their official Instagram page. They said that they will not be sending any Cayman women to participate in the Miss Universe competition until further notice. This is the official notice that was published on their official Instagram page. They said that they would never support an environment where contestants are mistreated or subjected to undue distress. They do not approve of the behavior or mistreatment exhibited at this year's global convention. They will not knowingly send any Cayman women to an environment that compromises her mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Their future participation depends on the Miss Universe organization implementing significant improvements in equality, safety, professionalism, and empowerment. My respect to the Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization. Guys, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. And as per usual, I'm going to keep you guys updated on any new developments. Ciao for now, guys.
The irony of this is that's not actually what that statement says at all. I certainly did not agree in the interpretation of that statement. So I don't know who this young lady is. I'm going to share the video because the part of the problem is that it is so poorly written, and she picks out the parts where she thinks that they're saying that. That's not what the letter says. The letter says, oh, we're going to keep monitoring it and see what happens. Nowhere in that letter does it say we're not going to participate. It says we wouldn't knowingly do this, this, and this, but that doesn't mean that they're not participating. So you see how already that statement has already been misinterpreted. You needed some help writing it. Now don't be coming blaming us for that either, okay? We ain't got nothing to do with your writing skills. But people have read it, as long as it is, and they're walking away with a confused position. Because that did not say and did not mean, unless I'm misinterpreting it, getting it wrong, but you guys tell me once you read it, it didn't say anything about they're not going to send anyone else. That's not what it said. But it wasn't, apparently it was not clear enough for the average person. So now are you going to accuse them of, you know, trying to, what did it say? Whatever. Y'all got some time. Y'all have got some time on your hands, Bobo. I'm going to ask Chat GPT, what does this letter really say? Let's see what chat tells me. Hold on. Let's see what AI takes from the letter. Let's read it. Hold on. Here's a plain English translation of what the letter says. Number one, we're proud of Tahiti Seymour, but we had nothing to do with the disaster that happened at the International Miss Pageant. Oh my God, this is so funny. Hold on. This is hilarious. I love when you ask chat a question and chat just comes very matter-of-factly. All right, hold on. This is how chat interprets what was said. So they did it kind of like a 9-point thing. All right, so let's get it. 1 second for me here. Okay, here we go. So chat interprets it as saying the following. We're proud of Tahiti Seymour, but we had nothing to do with the disaster that happened at the international pageant. So it says underneath it, they're distancing themselves from the Global Miss Universe organization and saying Cayman's contestant handled herself well despite the chaos. Number two, don't blame us. We only run the local franchise. We don't control what happened overseas. They're making it clear that they license the brand, but do not control the behavior, management, or treatment by the Global Miss Universe team. This year's Miss Universe, number three, this year's Miss Universe was a mess, but contestants, including ours, were put in stressful, disorganized, and inappropriate situations. They're calling out bad organization, poor rule enforcement, inappropriate conduct, emotional pressure, contestants being distressed. Number four, we will never send another Caymanian woman into that kind of environment. Unless things change, sending future contestants is not guaranteed. But it didn't, I mean, to me, I didn't read that they're not going to send anyone. So maybe, like I said, maybe my interpretation is off. Number five, we will only stay involved with Miss Universe if the global organization fixes itself. Okay. This continued participation hinges on major improvements in fairness, safety, and professionalism. That's what I got from it. And truly, if this was a statement to say that we are not going to, stay in this, that would have been the very first thing that they would have said. Instead, what they said first was, first and foremost, of course, congratulating her. In light of recent reports and public discussions surrounding the global organization, we also wish to make her position absolutely clear. Well, it's clear as mud. They hold a license, blah, 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 blah. 1 second. Yes, sir. From who? That's Thursday. Today's Wednesday. Yep. Mm-hmm. You said Mary, right? Yeah, Thursday. All right, I'll call you back. Sorry? Oh, good grief. My apologies. Remind me to do something, but today, not even the day. All right. Our local committee works year round, blah, 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 blah. Where is it saying that they're not going to? Okay. All right. I'm not seeing it. Okay. We're not responsible for the drama, and we will not tolerate anyone using this situation to push their own agenda. This is aimed at local critics, bloggers, and people trying to score points off the fiasco. Who's trying to score points? Reporting on the news. Number 7, some people use the incident to create drama or attack us, which has not been happening, and we're rejecting that. They're calling it opportunistic commentary and saying it's harming contestants and local individuals. What a hot mess. Number 8, we're focused on integrity, service, and protecting our young women, not manufactured drama. They're saying they're trying to position themselves as the responsible, stable party. Thank you, Cayman Islands, ending with a polite thank you. All right, chat. Thank you for your interpretation. Very helpful indeed, but distancing yourself from it, I mean, I don't know. Miss Anita, good morning, says, I fully agree with you with all that you've said regarding this pageant's issues internationally and locally. Thank you, Miss Anita. The pageant nerd is talking about it on YouTube. Everybody's talking about it, Tartarian. Smooth Cruz says Miss Cayman's costume was ugly. Oh, Lord. They're going to come after you next. You better behave. CC says this Saturday we'll be hosting a famous pasta sale. CC's famous pasta sale. All proceeds will aid in the fundraising to purchase Miss Amelia a bus. So there's the information there. Anthony says the Cayman Islands Committee for Miss Universe has been a joke since their actions led to us being an international laughingstock. You know, and once the government got out of it, Anthony, I was like, okay, I'm, you know, it's a private entity. It is what it is. Let them do their thing. Irvelin says they're the ones embarrassing the young ladies. Tartarian says she's an attention seeker. Irvelin says she is certainly shading you, Sandy Hill. You think it was directed at me? Because I was confused, because if it was directed at me, it's actually factually incorrect. We haven't really said much about the local pageant at all. She can't expect that they get no reporting, because the previous article that we did when we talked about the fact now that France is withdrawing and these people were withdrawing, we said that this is not the first time that a company or even a country has decided not to participate or to no longer hold the franchise, because our government did that back in 2023 because of how that committee, which is headed up by Ms. Derry Dakers, was handling the whole drama with Tiffany, I can't remember her last name now, whatever her name was, you know, in her whole assault case. And so the government decided to give it up, which I think was the proper and correct thing to do. Tartarian says, what is she talking about? No one said anything. The situation just happened. Again, confusion. Miss Marjorie says skin color should matter. What do you mean skin color should matter? I'm not quite sure I understand. Anthony says, didn't we have Miss South Africa a few years ago? Beautiful black woman. Like I said, I don't really keep up too much, but let me see. For the past 20 years, let's see. Just about Miss Universe. All right, for the past 20 years, we have, if it goes back further than that, that is too long for me, honey child. Yes, in 2019 and 2017, they had Miss South Africa. Let's see what they looked like. Because of course, you know, just because you're from South Africa doesn't mean that you're a person of color. So I don't know. This one, yes, Zozibini Tunzi. She is a woman of color. She's African. She won it back in 2019. She's a South African model, actress, and beauty pageant title holder. So let me see if I can show you her photo. Okay. 1 second, sorry. Trying to get a good picture here. Yes. All right, so she won it, yep, in 2019. And then another South African, here's her picture. Hold on 1 second. So that's her. Another South African won it in 2017. Based on her name, I bet you she's probably not a Black South African, but let's see. Never know. Nope, she's not. I could tell by the name. There's a lot. Names tell you a lot about people. And so she is this young lady here, Demi Lee. Not for nothing, but Demi Lee doesn't really sound like, you know, proper African name. And so let me just see where she is. To me, it's so interesting that these pageants, most of them have removed the talent part of pageantry. But I notice how they don't remove the swimsuit part. They still want these poor young ladies to go around and walk around these little skimpy bathing suits. They're not going to remove that, though. So there's the other Miss South Africa who won it some years ago. So nothing but controversy. And, if you can't take controversy, then there's certain jobs that you really should not be in. And, oh gosh, Miss Venezuela has won it a couple years back to back, 2008, 2009. So what you do is you just stay out of it. What do you say? Can't take the heat? Get out of the kitchen. Okay? It's as simple as that, really. What a heat. What a heat. Athena says sounds like a really miscongeniality movie. That flat tummy can't be normal. Women have wombs. The womb is not flat. Likewise, the world. I like Mexico, just saying, says Cruz. I mean, everybody has an opinion, like I said. It's not about liking Mexico. I think when you looked at the performance, a lot of people just felt like she was not a strong contender. Strong Will says Miss Jamaica Universe should sue them. She fell into the pit, but then she would have to prove that they're somehow at fault for that. And I think the difficulty she's going to have is of 100 and something contestants, she's the only one who fell in. So it doesn't seem like it was, anything to do with the stage per se. She just misstepped and accidents happen. Faith and Hope says the culture awareness pageant is much better than the impy skimpy one that requires an arm and a leg. At least with the culture one, you must be culturally aware and demonstrate your involvement in community development. Ms. Sue says it wasn't like this years ago. Ridiculous now. OMG. Terrible what they do. Now, yes, it's a hot mess. And as a mother of a former Miss Universe title holder, she would know what it used to be like. Anthony says the pageantry can't be saved. We as humans have lost identity of he or she. So how can we have an organization that doesn't distinguish identity? Remember the saying, you don't know you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. Carrie says, shut it down. It's a joke. Tiffany Tiffany, what was her name again? I can't remember, Joe. I heard she had a baby now too, by the way. Wow. Congrats. Miss Anita, thank you very much. Heaven blesses Black people. Blood is red. What color blood does white people and Chinese have? I think you're kind of missing the forest for the trees here, heaven bless. Everybody's blood is red. That's not the point. That's not a pint. What a pint? What a pint. The point is, with these pageants, people of color have a much smaller chance of ever walking away with a title. Because the whole thing is rigged and prejudiced. All right, let me see here now. Okay. So this pageant has been around from 1952. Okay. 1952 to 2025 is how many years, students? A students in the back? 73 years. All right. In 73 years, as many countries as you have around the world that are considered Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean, African countries, you have only ever had nine people who are either biracial, they're mixed, or considered Black ever won a pageant in 73 years. In other words, out of 73 possible times you roll the dice, only 9 have won it, and a lot of them have been mixed race. This is what percentage? Hold on, I can get. Hold on. Let's do the math. So that would be 0.123. Oh, yes. So 12%. When you multiply by 100. Okay. So 12.33% of all Miss Universe winners in history have been Black women. And again, that's because we're including some in there, just because once you have 1 ounce of Black blood, you're considered Black. So the biracial Chelsea Smith, Brooke Lee, Native Hawaiian, Asian, Portuguese, and Black. We got to count her as Black. We're going to count a Filipino and African American heritage as Black. So that's 3. If we were to take those 3 out, it would only be the 6, and it would be far less. You know what portion of the world population, what percentage of the world's population is African? Or how many of those countries, that are participating are sending women of color? I'm just saying. So a minimum of 45 countries send Black or Afro-descendant women to Miss Universe over the decades. Straight African countries, there are 55 African countries that are eligible, but 32 of those have historically participated, such as Angola, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Botswana, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Senegal, Sierra Leone, the Cote d'Ivoire, that one. Then you have in the Caribbean nations, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, Curacao, Dominica, Haiti, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Trinidad and Tobago, U.S. Virgin Islands. And then you have the Latin American countries, which also have Afro-Latina contestants. So we count those as well, although most of them don't tend to really be on the Afro side. And, sometimes the North Americans, USA and Canada and UK might send an African contestant as well. Right? So if you did a comparison, about 15% of the countries that send, African people or people of color, about 15% of those have ever won a title. All we're saying is it's obviously skewed. The world seems to have a very, very different definition of what beauty looks like. And when you're a little African girl in Botswana or the Cayman Islands, right? To know that you're being judged by the European standard, even your hair. How many of us refuse to wear our natural hair because we're going to be judged by the fact that we have an afro or, we have naturally tight curly hair, et cetera, et cetera. This is what the pageant world is all about. Okay? And you can participate in that. If you want to be judged by that, like I said, then that's you. But you can't send a young lady into a pageant and say, this is the value of you as a person. This is what you're worth on the pageant runway. And then tell people back home that they must somehow treat this pageant like it's something else when it really isn't. It's about the looks of these young ladies. And that's what it's all about. The sooner we just accept that and go with the flow, if that's what it's going to be, I think the better off everyone will be. All right. Let me see here now. Oh my God. Sorry. All right. All right. Someone says, I wonder what's the suicide rate in the pageant world. I don't know. Another country has stepped away. Miss Estonia has stepped down from her title. So again, Cayman hasn't done this, but although what that blogger said, Cayman actually hasn't done this. But Derry will not give up the Miss Universe franchise. It gives her validation. She could not get being an elected beauty queen. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, yeah. Let me see here. All right, we have another person who commented earlier about the whole pageant world fiasco. Says the entire Miss Universe pageant was a sham. Every country needs to pull out and stop supporting this racist and biased organization. Our girl did extremely well and didn't even place. I'm over it. This one is the worldbeauties.org says, I can't even make out what this one says at all. What does it say? To the attention of the Miss Universe organization, but then I can't really read the child. This is like, you got to really have some good specs on. Miss Vietnam has stepped down following the announcement of the official results of Beyond the Crown Miss Universe. Vietnam was surprised to see that the third place was not awarded to something young something for prospect women for diversity, which received 233 votes. Another scandal again, basically. Jesus. See what this person, Tiffany Beauty Queen, said one day ago. Votes mean nothing. Miss Universe 2025 has no integrity. What a mess. So, I mean, the general consensus is Miss Universe has lost the plot. And the thing about it is, I don't know that there's any coming back from this. I don't see a world, pun intended, where Miss Universe, does better. I don't see a world where they recover from this. The guy who owns the majority shares right now, he wants to find a buyer. He's like, I'm out. I'm done. That alone is just so ironic and like what? No, sir. So there you have it. This Beyond the Crown. Is this part of, it says Miss Universe Vietnam. I don't even know. These people are just crazy. They're batshit crazy. Find something else to do with your time. I must say Tahiti is a beautiful young lady. And more importantly than that is she is actually really, really smart and talented. So girl, go back to school and focus on that. That is what is going to get you places in life, right? Sadly, your beauty not gonna get you far. Now, of course, everyone knows that John is her father. Bless his little heart. He went to the pageant. And, I'm sure she was so happy to have her dad there supporting her. And, while I'm no fan of John's, I was very glad to see that he went to support her. Some of you were sending me your comments about his outfit, asking him to please choose another outfit because every time he actually wore that at another Miss Universe pageant where he wears a linen outfit with the hat. All I can say on that front is I'm not going to say much, okay? I'm going to just let it go. I'm not going to say anything. He obviously thinks he looks good. Thank God she gets her fashion sense from her mother and not from him. He likes linen. If that's how he wants to dress, that's on him. Let him wear linen with a top hat. It's very, very dated, but there you go. I'm not saying nothing more about it. I saw your comments. I heard what you had to say. And all I can say is, what a hot mess. Okay. On another note, though, I'm going to show you guys a picture from them there at Miss Universe. I appreciate the Miss Cayman, the Caymanian, the Caymanians that went out and supported her at the pageant. I know. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely in love with John John. You are so right. Heaven blessed. Oh, my God. He is like my dream guy. Really and truly. I love him. Oh, my God. Can I get his phone number? Oh, he just makes me warm and fuzzy all over because I like. Let me stop. Don't be mean. Don't start. Sandy, slap yourself on your rib. Bad girl. Yeah, you guys ever watch those Asian movies? Low key, I'm into the Asian movies now. I think they're all Chinese, but they're so funny, right? So when someone does something and they're like begging for forgiveness, they start slapping themselves. Oh, please forgive me. But it's like a soft slap. And then the other one walks up and says, I'm gonna make you pay for this. And she gives out a big whap and she goes flying across the room. And I'm just like, oh, the drama in these, they like to beat people up. Not for nothing, but I didn't know that these Asian dramas were like, oh my God, they like to beat people up. They're always twisting somebody's arm and kicking them to pieces and kicking them in their stomach and making them lose their babies. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? I'm in the middle of one right now that's kind of cute. But they always doing foolishness. But anyway, I digress. So there was John John. She looks beautiful. I think her and her mother must be the same size now. They can share dresses because her mama has maintained a good figure, boy. And there's the stepfather, dressed much more appropriately for the occasion in a tuxedo. That's, formal, whatever wear. This 1990s Cayman Caribbean style only, but he can't say he never took the Caribbean with him. He represented. So leave it at that. But yeah, man, that dress that her mom is wearing, oh my God, elegant. Wow. Anyway, Tahiti, good luck. I mean, well, it's over, but you know what I mean. Strong-willed. Oh, pew, pew, pew. Please check Hopefield Drive. This is off Milton Road and Hurst Road. One particular house is disgusting. Okay, sounds like we got to go down there and check it out. Thank you. Lavana says, I watched them too. Aren't they crazy? I'm going to send you, anytime I find a good one, Lavana, I'm going to send it to you. Marlon's like, you don't need to watch another one of them. Oh God. I'm almost finished with this one. I think I have less than half an hour left in this one. This one is called, oh Lord, I hate when you're watching them and then they rewind. Don't pay for them, girl. Don't pay for them, okay? You can get them for free just by doing a decent Google search because all of them be wanting you to be paying for them and stuff. Don't pay for them. I got to send you this one because this one's actually really good. I'll send you the link for this one. Yeah. But this one is really cute. I like this one. Anyway, I got an interview. Sorry. My apologies. Still drinking more water. I have I was happy to see the suit not 2 sizes small. It was 3 sizes too big. They say big belly men have small just a thought. That's what the message says. Y'all probably sitting here thinking I'm lying, and I'm not. But I had to stop. I had to stop reading that because that's just too funny. However, if we were to look at that statement from a scientific perspective, which is what we should be looking to do here, they're absolutely right. The research does show, you can go and find this in some medical journal, that as men, the bigger your belly is, the smaller your little thing appears to be and is. So you gain girth when you lose your stomach. So that should be motivation for all men to go out there and try and get that belly gone, honey child. You'll gain inches. Irvlin, I can't with y'all. Oh God, Tartarian says there's too much dancing in the Indian movies. Oh, I haven't really gotten into the Indian movies. And I haven't gotten into the African ones, but boy, the Chinese drama, no sir. They be going on with the most. And they be trying to steal people, man, and all kind of thing. I'm like, oh Lord, scandalous. All right, that's all she wrote. Let me see here. I think we better end the show on that note because I ain't got nothing more to say after the small PP conversation. Bollywood and Nollywood are awesome. Which one is Nollywood? I'm familiar with Bollywood, but what is Nollywood? I don't know what that is. Sandy, why don't you behave yourself? Strong-willed, I'm trying. Y'all are making it difficult here for me. Cha. Lord Jesus, I'm trying my best. And I had to go prepare for one of my interviews for Cayman Voices. Nigeria. Oh, they have a whole thing called Nollywood? Oh. All right. One final video, folks, on the pageant front. And then we're going to call it a day. Doge, one quick announcement. Tomorrow we can talk about American politics a little bit. But did you know, somebody said Darla Frederick was living in Fort Lauderdale, sweet soul, but ghetto as they come. Oh, Lord. So she's one of the people in that house. Oh, living in Fort Lauderdale. I hear you. Better make sure them people, them tenants keep your yard clean. So Doge has shut down 8 months before their mandated date. And you would be surprised to know that Doge actually cost the U.S. taxpayers. I have to laugh when I hear this. $1.35 billion. Doge costs the American taxpayers 135, I think I said 1.35, no, $135 billion from mass firings to lost tax revenue. Can you say that was a brilliant idea? OMG. They claimed they were going to cut $3 trillion in waste, and they ended up instead costing the U.S. government $135 billion. Go Trump, MAGA. Make America great again. Make America great again. There we go. My God. I don't make this shit up. I simply report on it. And that is not even funny. Wow. All right, here's another video, honey child. Oh, those are the African movies. Okay. Wanda says American politics is just a hot mess. It's beyond. Miss Wanda, that is beyond a hot mess. But here's another hot mess.
No way that Cote d'Ivoire should not have been Miss Universe. As I'm recovering from surgery and while the good pain medication is kicked in, let's talk about it. You may or may not know, but Miss Mexico won Miss Universe. And Miss Mexico was the one who got into it with Nawat, I believe, in which she ended up walking out. A lot of her fellow contestants walked out in solidarity with her. And ironically, she wins Miss Universe. But for those who haven't watched the Miss Universe pageant, I want to show you her swimsuit and evening gown in comparison to Cote d'Ivoire. Right. It gave nothing. And this is nothing, like, none of this is against her as an individual. I'm just referring to her performance in the pageant. So now let's take a look at Cote d'Ivoire. Now you tell me which one served more. There really is no argument here. Moving on to evening gown, Mexico was she was not strong. It was like, I'm prancing, I'm playing with the gown, here it is. Whereas Cote d'Ivoire gave you something every single time this woman was on stage. There was never a moment where I was looking at something else or at somebody else when she was performing. The entire pageant, this was the crowd. Remember when the official results at the end of the pageant came from like Ernst & Young or some high-profile auditing company? Well, this was printed on a piece of paper backstage, and it doesn't even have Thailand on there. I found this online, and I completely agree. Fourth runner-up should have been Mexico, which in my opinion, she shouldn't have even been top 5. Third runner-up, Thailand. Second runner-up, Venezuela. First runner-up, the Philippines. And Miss Universe 2025, Cote d'Ivoire. Now, before he resigned, there was a judge named Omar. I don't know how to pronounce his last name right now. But he came out and said the top 30 was pre-selected by judges that were not recognized. And he's currently seeking legal action via a firm, I think in New York, against the Miss Universe organization. Now, apparently, Raul Rocha, who is the owner and president of the Miss Universe organization, has had dealings with the current Miss Mexico's father, who is the current Miss Universe. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Share them below. I mean, congratulations, but it will be Cote d'Ivoire for me. She is my Miss Universe 2025.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.